Hi, this is Les Levine, the self-proclaimed voice of truth and reason in Ohio sports. The Miami Marlins are a terrible baseball team. The Indians struggled to split a two-game series at Progressive Field for the last 2 days. I guess it could have been worse. At least it appears that Carlos Carrasco is going to be okay, although we thought that's what was going to happen when Mike Clevenger got hurt. Here's the good news. Jose Ramirez had 3 hits, including a double and a home run, and even if it was only against Miami, it's a terrific start. Francisco Lindor is back, and not at full strength yet either, but that too is a start. Now it's on to Houston for 4 games. A split on the road would be nice, followed by a sweep in Miami. Time to turn the calendar over to the month of May. It's not too early to start getting the offense to match the defense. Jeff Schudel is here. We'll talk draft. We'll talk Indians. More sports and Les Levine starts right now. From the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Les Levine, it's a Wednesday night. Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to More Sports and Les Levine into our 23rd consecutive season, and of course, seen exclusively on cleveland.com. Jeff Schudel is here. Actually, he's been here for the last week. He got lost in one of the closets, and we were cleaning up the place, and we found you.
It's a great place, Les. I like your, like I said, I like your new studio. You've really
liked it that much?
Moving up in the world. Yeah.
Well, I saw you last week, and I saw you at the Indians game today. Indians just pummeled the Florida Marlins.
Hey, you know what?
Well, they didn't pummel them.
They won, and the way they've been hitting the ball, 6 runs is a pummeling.
It is a pummeling. It took them a long time to get the 6, but looks like Jose Ramirez swinging the bat a little bit better. 3 hits today.
Yeah, and he walked. So, I mean, he hits a home run. He singles, he gets a double. Just missing a cycle with not getting a triple, but he was hitting $160 or so when the game began.
Well, here you see it now. Rodriguez pitched great, 7 innings, didn't get the win, but gave up 3 hits and 1 earned run, 3 strikeouts, couple of walks. Ramirez 3 for 4, a double, a home run, 4 RBIs, and Lindor. Not real blasts, but they were solid hits, solid enough anyway. A couple of hits, 2 for 5, and the Indians win by a score of 6-2. Scoring 4 runs in the bottom of the 8th inning to carry that over. So are you seeing any, the good news, as I mentioned in the open, is Carlos Carrasco, at least for now, is not hurt badly.
Well, I'm going to take their word for it because they had the MRI last night. They were really concerned. And
well, they should have been.
Right. I mean, it didn't look good. I was doing the Monsters game, and you could see on the replay of him just stumbling out there. And you think, oh, no, you don't let him go down, too. So they did the MRI immediately, and the Indians knew last night that it was negative.
Right.
And he went through all the tests today.
Yeah, but they said that about Clevenger last week, too. Didn't think that was a problem.
Right, right. So, well, maybe we should still hold our breath a little longer, but I feel a little better about this one than I did Clevenger. But you're right, though. We learned 2 days later that he's going to miss 6 to 8 weeks on Clevenger.
Think if they had made the trades for the pitchers and left themselves with this offense plus whatever they got back for the pitchers, it wouldn't be a real healthy situation.
No, and as a matter of fact, I wrote last week, I think it was, or a week before, aren't you glad they didn't trade Bauer or Kluber? Because you're right. I mean, we're seeing right now, if Carrasco had been gone, then who do you have as that? Right now, you can't let Kluber and Bauer and
if you didn't have them
and Beaver pitch, every 3 days. Although they used to pitch every 4 days.
What do you think? Now they're going down to Houston, 4-game series there. To see Michael Brantley for the first time, he seems to have fit in with his ball club. He seems to be a situation where he would have fit in with this ball club too. That's the one that bothers me the most, I think.
Well, you know what? I can't disagree, Les, and. I'm not a big analytics guy. That's because I'm 66 years old. But I just don't understand. I mean, they say that, and they know way more baseball than I do, I'll say. But they said RBIs is like a low measuring stick for them.
Yeah.
Well, somehow you got to get those runs across the plate.
You got to score runs. Well, Houston, of course, one would think are the best team in the American League, but they had a 10-game winning streak, and since then they're 2-4. They've been outscored 33-29 in the last 4 games, and batting .280 as a team, and that leads the majors. That's just a loaded lineup from top to bottom, no question about that.
Yeah, I mean, they're hitting the ball, and then you know that pitching staff is a lot better than that.
Right.
But, so, yeah, the Indians, I'll go with what you said. Take a split in Houston, then go down there.
And win it all in Miami. All right, so what have we learned from, we've got, 25 games or so in the books. What have we learned from this team, and what do we need to learn from it?
Well, I think it's still going to take some patience I think the lineup now is certainly a lot better than it was. But like you just said, Lindor is still coming around. And
he had a couple of hits, but they were of the bloop variety.
Yeah, and he was hitting at one point like 154 today. And if Ramirez has broken out of that slump, I think it was interesting that he was really struggling when he was hitting second. But now Lindor is back. Lindor hits first, then Leonis Martin second, and then Ramirez third. I think for whatever reason, Jose Ramirez feels better in that third slot.
I think there was an interesting thing. Don Mattingly, of course, is the manager of Miami, and he walked Ramirez twice early in the game to get to Carlos Santana, who's been the only guy hitting at all for Cleveland.
Yeah.
And it failed him. He walked him, so it didn't really work.
I know. I thought the same thing. What are you doing? He's their best hitter. So, but I
got a short. I
don't profess to know more than Don Mattingly.
No. I got a quick peek
though.
of the lineup, and Mattingly, as he walked him, he says, "Oh, I'm looking at the wrong page here."
Yeah.
You know what I did like? That Kipnis, who has struggled in the last couple of years, he's going the other way now. He's going against the shift. So 2 things happen. Number 1, you got a wide open field to get a hit that way, and number 2, if you hit the ground ball in the right spot, these other teams are going to say, you know what, maybe we better not shift anymore, and that gives him more field on the right side.
Right. And, what they're now, the Miami did this a couple times, maybe other guys are doing it, but I just really noticed it more today. When a batter gets 2 strikes, then they go into the shift.
A different shift.
Yeah, and
they move the runners to, they move the third baseman to between first and second.
And you know what, when you're doing this shift, that's something I don't understand, really. Instead of the shortstop going over there to play short right field, and then the third baseman goes over to play short. You just like why don't you just have that third baseman go over there and let Lindor or whatever shortstop play his natural position? Why put 2 guys?
Well, my guess is if it's the shortstop, they don't want him throwing from the second base position, I would guess. But as you say, they're big leaguers. They should be able to do that.
No, my point is let the shortstop stay where he belongs.
Yeah, and move the third
baseman
baseman
And then move the
over.
third baseman. Yeah, instead of weakening yourself, maybe is probably not the right word, but that third baseman isn't a shortstop because your shortstop is probably better.
216-575-0403. We're just a day away from the beginning of the draft. Do you expect any big movement by the Cleveland Browns between now and then?
I do not think that they're going to move into the first round, but I'm just guessing that John Dorsey's not going to sit there at 49, the 17th pick in the second round.
He's not capable of sitting still.
I could see him making a move to, like, say, 40, 35, somewhere in there, 42.
What, to
somewhere
move up
in there.
7 or 8 spaces?
Yes, and like there's one guy that he wants, and he's concerned that if I just sit there at 49, he might be gone. Justin Lane, a cornerback from Benedictine and Michigan State, is a guy that could fit that.
I was with somebody that you and I both know. I'll tell you who it was during the break, and he said, well, he said it to you also, but don't use the name, said he'd like to see a huge trade to wind up to get Joey Bosa here.
Yeah, I mean,
he'd give up 2 first-round picks in the next 2 years. I would do it also.
Because you don't have a first round this year, and if you do that, you're not going to have a first round.
You're going
pick
for all the marbles
until 2022.
Joey Bosa gives you as many marbles as you want.
Or
Nick Bosa, rather.
Nick Bosa.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, Les, watching him play at Ohio State. That he is
man among boys.
Yes, he really is. He was in college. We'll see what he does. No, his brother's really good too. Joey is good.
Right.
But
Nick might be better when it's all said and done.
Yeah, but boy, still to have no first round picks until 2022.
Got a chance to win right now?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I'll tell you what, and the guy we're talking about, he is right, man. That defensive line would be amazing.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. You can email us during the show at reallesslevine@gmail.com. Jeff Schudel is here with the News-Herald. I'm Les Levine, more sports and Les Levine. We'll take a break. We'll come on back. When we come back, has Jose Ramirez finally breaking out of his slump? Facebook.com, the place to go. You can follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/more sports and Les Levine, with new content posted each and every day. We'll come back in a moment with Jeff Schudel, more sports and Les Levine, exclusively on cleveland.com.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program has been recognizing role model students and teachers since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Supporting Education. There, you can nominate students in kindergarten through 12th grade as academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible for the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
We talked to Cody Anderson this morning. So he'll start on Friday in Columbus, get him going on the road, which is good for him. But it was also really good news for Carlos that, I mean, it doesn't look like he'll be ready for Sunday.
With Cody Anderson, just as he's kind of worked his way back and continued to build up this spring, what do you see out of him?
A little bit of rust, which I think is completely, understandable. Even by his own admission, he said first couple hitters he faces, it takes him a little while to get, because he's used to pitching with pain, and then it's not pain. But we saw the last couple innings of his last outing, he started to kind of get a little rhythm going. He had to change up back, and he got his fastball velocity up there a little bit. Repetition will be great for him.
It's Terry Francona before today's win over the Miami Marlins. Cody Anderson optioned to AAA Columbus. Pitched 3 games, 5 innings, 7 hits, 3 earned runs, 5 strikeouts, and a couple of walks. And he was good to have around. Hopefully you don't have to rely on him too much, but he did a nice job for the Tribe while he was here. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Let's check out the man we've been talking about and the Indians' need offensively, Jose Ramirez. Let's take a look at what here's Carrasco, who's going to get the start on Sunday against Houston. First starts, well, there you see it right there. So you got to have Carrasco. I don't care if he was pitching poorly, had a bad outing.
Yeah.
The way pitchers' ERAs are, and I know how it's changed. They're not as important that they used to be. You get beat up once. It's tough. It may take you 6 starts to get it back.
Right. I mean, when you look at those last 2 games, no runs allowed in 11 innings.
Right.
I'll take that every day.
Looked like he was back, and it might have continued had he not had the threat of getting injured. I'll tell you what, when he went down, I just didn't like the way that looked at all.
No. We've been around sports enough to know when a guy falls and comes up limping, it could be an MCL. It doesn't have to be an ACL, but it could be
anything that ends in L with knees is not good.
Yeah, you are right.
Yeah. Jeff Schudel is with us from the News-Herald. You cover everything now. Everything.
Well, I like to keep busy.
Okay, well, you like to keep cashing paychecks.
Yes,
We've
I do that.
got Chauncey Gardner-Johnson back here, and partially one of my favorite names of all time because one of my favorite movies of all times was Being There with Peter Sellers, and he played the role of Chauncey the Gardener, Chauncey Gardner, who became president of the United States. Which you got to watch the show. I don't care what your politics are, you have to see this movie if you've never seen it before.
I'm gonna try to call it up on Netflix or wherever.
Yeah, you should
see these things.
What do you know about Chauncey Gardner, the football player?
He's not going to be the president.
The football player will not be the president.
He will not be the president.
But he will be a defensive back.
Right,
for
and
somebody.
I think he might go somewhere in late first, second round, I'll say. And he's one of those guys, Les, that certainly if he's on the board at 49, I think the Browns would consider him.
Well, what? Because defensive backs are.
Yeah, I think they need another cornerback, and it is trite, but you never have enough corners.
Right.
And I think you mentioned it on the show last week. Is Denzel Ward had 2 concussions?
Yeah. Does that concern you?
It does.
It should.
And so I was just thinking of Chauncey
Gardner. You're thinking of
president.
number 23 for Florida.
Yeah, I saw
for the Gators.
Him in the White House. But anyway, yeah, that has to be a concern.
Yeah.
It has to be a concern for the Browns. You cannot. Greg Williams gave him a hard time for the way he tackled last year, and
he was right.
And he was right.
Yeah.
So, you cannot keep doing that.
Well, I'm wondering if that was an Ohio State problem, the way they teach their defensive backs to tackle, or if it was just Denzel Ward never picked it up.
Or did they not teach him the right way down there?
Which is possible.
Right. And but he's got to go lower. He can't use his head to get in there, and we'll see. Hopefully he has learned.
We're going to find out what you think about the Odell Beckham situation. We'll do that in a couple of minutes, of why he did or didn't show up for practice, and if he should have or shouldn't have, or if it doesn't matter one way or the other. There's 2 schools of thought on that. If he plays and he plays well, it doesn't. When you're in October, November, December, you're not going to care what he did in April.
Right.
I get that. But what can the Browns do well tomorrow or between now and the weekend, and where can they mess up? What if they're tempted to do something? What's a good thing for them to do if they take a chance? What's a bad thing to do?
Well, I really don't think they should overpay to make a glamorous move.
Okay.
And I think that John Dorsey is I'm going to use the word mature enough.
Okay.
To not overpay for something. Like in 2000.
Even if he wants the player badly.
Right. And in 2008, Phil Savage went a little nuts because the Browns were 10-6 in 2007, and he liked making these big splash moves, and the Browns did not have a pick until the 4th round.
What's a general
they
manager
play a lot
to
of
do?
Nerf basketball, but and then he said, half the draft picks don't make it anyway. That was his reasoning,
Right.
And so the Browns virtually had no draft that year. They got Tyber Rubin, who turned out to be a pretty good player in the 6th round, but
Not here.
No, but he played here a few years, but he was, but that was, so that's what I don't want John Dorsey to do.
All right, if he takes a chance, where do you want that chance to be?
I would not mind seeing them like Jeffrey Simmons, the
Who they can't use for a year.
Yeah, I think they're good enough right now on the defensive line that maybe they don't need a guy to play immediately. Now, if they could move, say their 2nd round pick and a 4th to go up and get him, I would do that. But I will not give up.
All right, here's the problem I have on Simmons. He won't be able to play this year at all, and we're assuming he'll be okay to play next year.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
But some of the first contracts are coming up at that point or the next year, so you almost, even if you're taking him and not expecting any value from him, you're also not taking him, and maybe he's not going to be as good as you or healthy as you think he's going to be.
Well, that's the risk. You're right about that. And if you get him, you're almost saying those first-round guys signed for 4 years, plus there's a 5th-year option the team can pick up. And they're going to have to do that on Myles Garrett here soon enough. But anyway,
That happened quick.
Pardon me, yeah. And so that's another thing. First on Simmons. So you draft him in the first round, and then you can get him for that fifth-year option. You don't want to have him for only 3 years. If he cannot play this year, if he doesn't go to the second round, you don't get him for 3 years.
Right.
Not sure that's such a good plan, but
no, you're paying 2 years and only getting one of them on the field.
Right, but I mean, the other thing I was saying is now that the Browns are pretty good and they have some good players, unlike the first 19 years, they don't have to start redoing contracts. And
they've never done that before.
No, I mean,
anybody over there know how to do that?
When you're 1-31, it's pretty hard to. I want this much money, And
we won one game without you, or with you. We'll win one game without you.
Right. Yeah. So. But Garrett's going to come up, and there's several who'll be like that.
All right, help me out on the Odell Beckham thing. It's sort of confusing to me because Dave Gettleman, the general manager of the Giants, didn't like the culture there and made it clear that Odell Beckham was part of the culture. And instead of getting mad at him for that, why wouldn't you just go out and play and show your new culture or show that your culture was not a problem here? Why? Nobody on the Browns did anything wrong to him.
No.
So why is he taking it out on them? Or isn't he?
I think it looks that way because of the Gettleman business. But I will say this, too, that if he did show up at this voluntary minicamp that's going on right now, then people would say, hey, Dave Gettleman doesn't know what he's talking about. But,
right, you shift the blame.
Yes, right. And now the fact that he isn't here, I think people are going to take a step and say, well, let's just wait and see.
Maybe he had something correct here.
Yeah, maybe. I think people might be getting a little antsy less because he's not here. And then the people are going to say, you know what? The Browns didn't really give up that much to get him. Why is that? And then the answer would be, well, because he wasn't.
Yeah, on the other hand, we've never, well, I don't know about you. I've never played NFL football.
I haven't. No,
Okay.
I'm waiting though. Maybe they'll call my
still
name
get a shot at it
on Sunday.
The problem that I see is that we talk about the culture in the locker room as if we know what we're talking about.
Right.
We assume that Baker Mayfield needs to work with him on pass patterns and blocking and whatever else. We just assume that they need that, and I would assume that if I'm Baker Mayfield, I'm not going to say anything about Beckham not being there, but I think I'd want him there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's. The other guys are there. They stopped, they interrupted their plans to be here. And I think they might be thinking, hey, what am I doing here now you have to be a good player to be able to say, what am I doing?
You got to back that up a little bit.
Right. If you're the fifth guy on the depth chart, the seventh guy on the depth chart, you don't have to say, if Odell Beckham isn't here, I don't have to be here.
You can spend Kentucky Derby Day next Saturday, May 4th at Northfield Park. You can watch and wager on the top thoroughbreds as they compete in the $2 million Run for the Roses. It's the 9th annual Northfield Park Food Truck Festival. That kicks off from 12 noon until 7 p.m. Enjoy the live music from 1 until 10 p.m. Enter your Kentucky Derby hat contest for a chance to win prizes and mostly cash. And you also have chances to win prizes all afternoon long. It's free admission, free parking every day at Northfield Park. Jeff Schudel and I return in a moment, exclusively on cleveland.com.
When my dad started Nature Stone right here in Northeast Ohio, he created a solution for age-old concrete problems: unevenness, cracking, pitting, and more. Nature Stone solves all of these problems in garages, basements, and outdoor spaces. Nature Stone is beautiful, environmentally friendly, and always affordable. Plus, Nature Stone is backed by Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty.
Get Nature Stone installed in your home by the end of April and get up to half off. Schedule your free in-home estimate easily online today.
It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's kitchen. For old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget, Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Birthdays for today. 1947, Jeff Seymour Movies was born on that date. Omar Vizquel seen on the left, Chipper Jones, Eric Snow, Carlos Beltran, Tyler Naquin, all born on the 24th of April. 216-575-0403. Time for a How Come Quickie. How come on opening day the grounds crew puts bunting throughout the stadium and then it turns out to be the last time all season anybody knows how to do anything with bunting?
I like that. Yeah, that's a great question.
Major leaguers can't bunt.
Yeah.
Want to tell me why?
No, I cannot tell you why. And you know, when you're talking about the shift earlier, if you can't, now, Jose Ramirez was trying that early in the year.
Right.
But boy, they cannot, they could have nobody
I understand
on
the
the third base
logic.
side.
The logic is, mostly with American-born players, that the best players were never asked to bunt. Best players were cleanup number 3 hitters, number 4 hitters. So I'm sure a senior in high school who's told to bunt would say, no, thank you, I'll choose not to. But you would think if it's a way to help you get to the majors or stay in the majors, you'd think you'd be out there bunting quite a bit.
And when you talk about the high school guys,
yeah.
Now when you were growing up, and we'll probably see it here in a few minutes, who was the best athlete on your baseball team?
Oh, the only guy that I can put in that category happened to win the Cy Young Award, Steve Stone.
Okay.
So that's pretty good. You get better than that?
And how was Steve Stone at the plate?
Terrible.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But most pitchers in high school were the best hitters on the team.
Right.
That's for the most part.
Right.
I assume that's the point you were making.
Yeah.
No, he was a terrible hitter.
Okay.
But he did get to hear.
Played with him,
but he did get to hear get to play in the World Series. That's a pretty good thing.
Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, you're right. My point was, all of a sudden, pitchers cannot hit. When they were kids, they're the best hitters on the team, and that's how when I was in Little League, the pitchers were always the best.
Well, I mean, there's a clear answer to that, and that is that they make it because of their pitching ability. They didn't make it because of their hitting ability. And not all hitters could pitch in high school.
Well, that's true. That's true.
It works out both ways. I just think if you're between making a team, going to the next level and not going to the next level, and if they tell you, by the way, if you learn to bunt, that might help your chances. I learned to bunt real quick.
Yeah, I would too.
Yeah, 216-575-0403. All right, so our friend Tony Grossi got into it with Odell Beckham. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Well, I guess you could say one thing about it for Tony, that he has enough, Odell Beckham has enough respect for Tony to at least not ignore him.
Yeah, we think that's what it was. Anyway, here's what Tony had to say. Here's what Odell Beckham said. He's out training, but thanks a lot for your concern. I don't know. We don't know him well enough yet to know if he's being facetious or not.
I would say that's facetious.
So that's facetious.
Yes, I would guess that's what that is. But I like what Tony said, too.
Yeah, I do, too. 216-575-0403. When we get back, we'll check out our question of the week, see how you responded to it, and find out if you got to have your picture on the show tonight. We'll do that and more when we get back. Jeff Schudel is with us, and we also have the voicemail of Truth and Reason, and you can call that anytime. Hopefully you won't call it and leave the longest message in history, but if you want to get it on, you could leave a short one. We'll check that out. 216-200-6650 is the number to call. Call us anytime. Leave us a message 24 hours a day, and we could be using it as one of our best messages on a future show. More sports and Les Levine continues in a moment, exclusively on cleveland.com.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family cool this summer,
let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant, whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at 440-449-HEAT.
Today is the 24th of April, 1901. Jeff, did you see this game? The Chicago White Stockings beat the Cleveland Blues in the first game played in baseball's American League. Both managers complained that their players did not know how to lay down a bunt.
No,
even then.
Wow. No, I did not know that was the first game in
the American League.
That's
Absolutely.
kind of cool.
Absolutely. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. We have a Facebook question of the day, and you can listen. Let's listen to the voicemail. Oh, here's a question of the day. What are your thoughts on Odell's absence from the Browns' voluntary minicamp? So we had a bunch of responses to that. And Rick May says, well, it is voluntary, not exactly the kind of first impression the Browns fans want to see. Hopefully the regular season will render this mute. Maybe. Maybe. Then we go to Glenn Berger. As a fan, I would like him to be at camp, but he's a veteran working out on his own. I don't want to make a big deal about it because there's so much publicity and baggage attached to Odell Beckham, good, bad, or indifferent. Carl Brunstetter says if he wants to get on the good side of everybody in the organization and the fans, and the rap he had in New York, one might think he'd want to show up, even though it is a voluntary minicamp. Carl St. John says he's sitting at limits, he's marking his territory. Tim Gebhardt, you know Tim, don't you? I think you do.
And the name's familiar.
Longtime writer and radio guy. Tim says, I'll give him a little slack, but it's not a good look, to be honest with you. Can't argue with that.
You know, I think it's a test for Freddie Kitchens already.
Yeah, it is, but why should it be?
Well,
I mean, why is he stretching the limit? Odell.
Right. I think here's where it's a test for Freddie Kitchens. How does he react to this? Does he says, hey, don't worry about it, come in when you want? How does that, and so if that's his attitude, how does that look to the guys who are there?
Well, it doesn't look good, especially when it's your first shot at coaching, and you're being tested by everybody on that team to see what their limits are also.
And I think, Les, when I think back to the first coach,
help me out,
who just slipped my mind.
Give me a hint.
Chris Palmer.
Okay.
Thank you. Not Paul Brown. When Chris Palmer was here, I remember this. Dale McCutcheon, they were stretching out there, and Dale McCutcheon was a little late or something. I forget exactly what happened.
Okay.
But Chris Palmer was screaming at him on the field, like the first practice. And you should have stayed at the Holiday Inn or something like that. And I think he was just trying to look like some tough guy that he wasn't.
That he wasn't. It didn't play well.
And it didn't play well. So you have to be yourself to be a successful
I'll tell you where
head
I lost. He lost me. There was a game middle of the season. And, of course, at that time you had Al Lerner on the team and Carmen Palas. He was his sidekick. And there was a chance to win a game, but an established team wouldn't have done what they had to do. In other words, an established team wouldn't have faked a kick or whatever it would have taken to help win that game. And Palmer didn't do it. And people were questioning him because what's the difference? You're not going to win any games, so if you try an onside kick or you try a fake punt or whatever, you might stir something up and you might get something. And he said, in front of the entire media, he said, well, if it didn't work, how would I explain a 20-point loss to a team? And I said, the same way you would explain a 12-point loss.
Right.
You have one chance to win that game, and that's to do something out of the ordinary. And he didn't understand the concept. I should not understand the concept better than a professional football coach.
Understand it, yeah.
You remember that?
I do remember that now. And I got another one on him. So the running back was it was Travis Prentice. I can't remember. But so Jamal White became their primary running back. And I said to him, right, the whole group was there. I said, well, what do you see in Jamal White? So, like, you know, like the way he cuts the outside or whatever, what do you see in Jamal White? He started yelling at me in front of everybody.
Why?
I don't know. I was...
Well, first of all, he's not your coach.
Right.
Right? And what he didn't understand, it was his first time as a head coach, and he didn't understand that coaches get to their fans, their ticket buyers. You know, you talk about how would you tell the owner about a certain point loss.
Right.
How would you tell the owner about how you lost 5,000 ticket sales?
Yeah.
That one he'd be interested in.
It was such a strange reaction. I don't care if a coach gets mad, he gets mad. But there was I wasn't prepared for that reaction because there was nothing to that question. It was a softball question. But that's how it happened.
I don't understand. You would think, especially for first-year coaches, you would think that I think now they have PR people and speech people who help sports speech, as we say. I don't think they had it back then, 20 years ago.
No, you're right about that, Les. Then nobody says, hey, this is what they're going to ask you.
Right. This is where you answer it.
Yeah,
and don't laugh when you answer it this way.
Yeah.
Wink, wink. Okay. You know and we know that guy in the news media is a total jerk, but don't let him know that.
Yeah. So that's not reference to that question.
Who did you have the most problems with? Forget Belichick for a minute. Who did you have the most trouble with?
In my whole career? Or
well, in the last 20,
Mike Hargrove, for some reason, I think I rubbed him the wrong way. So I'll take the blame on that one because I know he's a great. Now he's fine, but for some.
Well, yeah, he's not managing.
Yeah, I rubbed him the wrong way for a couple. I think it's harder. For me, you know, football, I'm fine with those guys, but when you don't cover a team every day, it's a little difficult.
But now they don't even let you. If you do cover it every day, they don't let you anywhere near the field for you to be able to ask the right question. But that's the way sports. That's the way it's evolved over the years.
Yeah. You know what has changed too? We always would be in the locker room after let me say the hockey team. For some reason, some sports let's say it this way: Cavaliers practice. You know what it's like. Yeah. You sit there. Practice is going to end at 12:30.
They tell you to be there at 12:30.
So by 2:45, they say, "Okay, we're done," and then you only get to talk to.
You see three guys shooting foul shots.
Right, and then
looks pretty good.
Right, and then you get to talk to one player.
Right.
You know, and so that's not cool.
Yeah. Well, that's the way it works these days. They control the message. They didn't used to. They do it now. We've got the Facebook question of the day, and that, of course, deals with Odell Beckham. We got Ron has chipped in on the voicemail. Oh, we did that already. Yeah, you know what? We did. But when we come back, we're going to find out what some of the media nationally, locally and nationally, what they say about the Browns and how they're going to draft and what they're going to do. And we'll tell you in the meantime about Sokolowski's University Inn. Did you know Monday was Dingus Day?
The only reason I knew that is because you mentioned it last week.
I did mention it. Yeah. And I said it was coming.
And I thought you were, no. I never heard of it. But then, sure enough, I'm listening to the news on Monday. It's a Dingus Day.
Happy Dingus Day to everybody.
And I said, Les told me already.
Yeah, it's Mike and Bernie Sokolowski's University Inn. They've been doing that for 1,000,000 years. No place better for lunch, 11 to 3, Monday through Friday, 5 minutes out of downtown Cleveland, plenty of free parking. It's Mike and Bernie Sokolowski's University Inn, the winner of the James Beard Foundation Award. We're coming back in a moment with Jeff Schudel, exclusively on cleveland.com.
The concrete in your garage is uneven, cracked, pitted, and just plain ugly. Transform your garage into a welcoming entryway with Naturestone flooring. Naturestone corrects uneven concrete so you don't have to worry about tripping or slipping. Plus, Naturestone is backed by Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty.
Get Naturestone installed in your home by the end of April and get up to half off. Schedule your free in-home estimate easily online today.
It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Naturestone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
All right, here we go. This date in Les Levine history. Back in 1964, Les asked the Brush High bat boy to ask somebody for the key to the batter's box.
There you go. That.
The other night we had give me the left-handed hitting bats. Bat boy didn't like me very much. Well, we do have to get a listen to the voicemail response. Ron Byer, my good friend from Fremont, Ohio, had this to say as we posted it.
Hi, Les. Hi, Jeff. This is Ron Byer. You gentlemen have put in many years of dedicated service of talking and writing Cleveland as well as sports news, and your business has evolved over time. Because of the changing times of sports, could you tell us what your likes and dislikes of the changes have been?
Wow, Ron must have known what we were talking about before.
Wow.
The changes in how we cover sports. What is different today, 2019, as it was, let's say, mid-90s?
Well, I think the biggest change is that it's harder to get close to players now, Les. And I think there's...
by design.
Yeah, I think there's a couple reasons for that. One, especially in the pre-free agency days, a player would be with a team longer. They couldn't hide. When the Browns trained over at Baldwin Wallace College, there really was no place for them to hide in a spacious complex like they have now. So you really got to know those guys on a first name basis, and there was more of a trust factor because there was no social media like there is now. I mean, the internet might have been in its infancy, but there's no Twitter, no Facebook, nothing like that.
I'll tell you one thing from the Bill Belichick era, who had come from New York to get his first head coaching job here. He made sure that every media member wore a tag with the name and their affiliation for two reasons. Number one, so that some of the players might know if they're talking to somebody with a major network, maybe with a smaller newspaper, smaller radio station or whatever. And also if somebody wrote something good or bad, and Belichick was good about this. If somebody wrote something good, he wanted that player to seek out that person and let them know that he appreciated it.
Yeah.
Which you don't get now.
No. And even now, unless you're, whoever the big shots, they don't know who they don't know who you are. But when we see guys, Kevin Mack, all of those guys from the 80s.
From those days, they still remember.
30 years ago, they remember not just me, but they remember all of us. And I think that was kind of cool.
They try to, I don't know that they try to do it this way, but you'll hear some press conferences where the PR guy will say, all right, when you have a question, give your name and your affiliation.
Yeah, they do that.
That's not for the player to know who it is. That may be for some national radio, national TV, or a network picking up who this question's coming from. I think that's why that is.
Right. The Cavaliers are good about that, and that's a smoother way of doing it than at the Browns press conferences, because you know what those are like, man. There's like not even a second of dead air.
You have to time it if you want to get a question, and you have to time it when the person's done answering the questions. And then you get 3 words in and you realize somebody in the front row, well, you're in the front row usually. And by the way, how did you get that? How did you get the seating? You know that Tom Withers gets number 1.
I think seniority. I've been doing it since 1981. But the difference between that and an Indians press conference with Terry Francona, everybody's looking at their shoes, waiting for somebody else to say something, and but not a Browns press conference. Man,
I have not heard anybody rip Francona or ask him a pointed question. Have you?
No, it doesn't seem that happens. You're right about that. But, it's harder to, I think second-guessing baseball managers.
It's part of the game.
But it's so easy to do after it fails.
And not only that, they don't want to say, look at you guys, what do you know about it?
Right. And, like the other day, he got a lot of grief for pitching Brad Hand in that first game.
And rightfully so,
doubleheader. But he explained it was a 4-run game.
Yeah.
He goes, if somebody gets on, he's going to have to get him up anyway. And you know what? And I'll say this.
That's the reason. The reason isn't always right, though.
Okay, well, but then look, they blew it the second game.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going to win, hey, let's make sure we win one. So
you got a 4-run lead going into the ninth.
You
should
better win it, yeah.
You better win it, no question about it.
I agree with that.
All right, so we've got some mock drafts to look at, and we have some national guys and what they pick. So let's take a look at what we have here. With the 49th pick, Andrew Gribble, who's with Browns.com, says Draymond Jones, of course, from St. Ignatius and Ohio State. And Chad, is it Reuter or Reuter? I'm not sure. Rock Yassin is his pick. And next one comes up with our buddy Chauncey Gardner.
There you go.
Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. And Ryan Wilson of the next one says DeAndre Baker.
Mm-hmm. I am taking.
Would you be surprised? Well, here's Draymond Jones. Would you be surprised if any of those guys were picked? I wouldn't.
No, I would not. I am taking Mac Wilson, an inside linebacker.
All right. Well,
from
Draymond
Michigan.
Jones, of course, the defensive tackle from Ohio State, 6'3", 281, 43 tackles, 13 for losses, and 8.5 sacks in 2018. First team All Big Ten in 2018. And this goes in my theory, Jeff, when you know it, best Buckeye available. Here's Yassin from Temple, a cornerback, 6 foot 192, 47 tackles, first team All ACC in 2018.
He was a little bit like Hanford.
Yeah. Here's Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, out of Florida, 5'11", 210, 71 tackles, 9 for losses, 4 INTs, 161 tackles in his career, 3 defensive touchdowns. How about that?
Nice smile.
Yeah, nice smile. Well, he knows stuff. DeAndre Baker from Georgia, cornerback, 5'11", 193, 40 tackles last year. 2018 was the Jim Thorpe Award winner. It's pretty impressive right there. So there you have it.
I'll take any of those guys. I haven't taken that Mac Wilson because inside linebacker from Alabama, because Les, I think that's a position they could improve.
Yeah, and do you sort of look at them like you would look at linebacker U at Penn State? Do you think somebody at Georgia at that position automatically gets extra points or not?
At Alabama, I think.
Alabama or Georgia.
Yeah, I think. You're in the SEC, you get extra points right there. I think.
Yeah. Hey, when you were covering the Browns, was Nate Wallach in?
Yes, he was.
Okay, Nate Wallach, great old guy. And a funny guy.
Yes.
And it was one night at the draft, and he's taking notes. Do you remember this? He's taking notes. He goes CB 3, RB 2. So we realized they're going to pick 2 running backs and 3 cornerbacks. No, he was taking orders for lunch. He had roast beef and corned beef.
He was funny. There was one press conference with Sam. This I think 1981, and he starts sleeping. And then he wakes up, he goes, and that's a good place to end it. I don't think he has any idea how long it was going.
Nate fell asleep? Yeah, that's very possible. All right, we're coming back one more time. Jeff Schudel is with us, and we'll cover what we haven't covered when we get back. More Sports and Les Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Your basement is damp, dirty, and not somewhere you want to spend time. Let Naturestone Flooring transform your basement into a true extension of your home. Naturestone's proprietary hydrostatic ports allow water to simply evaporate, so no mold or mildew. Plus, Naturestone is backed by Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty.
Get Naturestone installed in your home by the end of April and get up to half off. Schedule your free in-home estimate easily online today.
It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Naturestone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program has been recognizing role model students and teachers since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com. In the About section, find Supporting Education. There, you can nominate students in kindergarten through 12th grade as academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible for the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery, partners in education, where stars shine.
You can spend Kentucky Derby Day next Saturday, May 4th at Northfield Park. Watch and wager on the top thoroughbreds as they compete for the $2 million Run for the Roses. The 9th annual Northfield Park Food and Truck Festival kicks off at noon, goes till 7 p.m. Enjoy the live music going from 1 until 10 p.m. Enter the Kentucky Derby Hat Contest for a chance to win cash prizes and register for your chance to win prizes all afternoon. It's free admission, free parking every day at Northfield Park. D-Man, Dennis Maniloff, joins us tomorrow. You see us live from 6 until 7. Then all day and all night you can archive it. And you can go back and find any program in the past right on cleveland.com. Facebook.com/More Sports and Less Levine, the place to find us. The new content is posted each and every day. All right, Cleveland Bill writes in, what do you think about the suggestion by a fan on the Orange and Brown podcast that the Browns should trade Duke Johnson for Patrick Peterson if Peterson really wants out of Arizona? Would you make that deal?
Well, I would make that deal, but I don't think the Arizona Cardinals would make that deal.
Probably not.
No.
Mr. Gullible writes in, how come if you suck at playing the trumpet, that's probably why? I can't use the next one. I don't know why, I just can't use it. All right, here we go. John Patrick coming in. He's the guy who wants 10. He sends in 2 and he wants us to grade him. And we haven't given him, we had a 9.5 last
Okay, well, that's good.
a couple days ago. All right, here we go. He's still trying for a perfect 10. How come I need patience and I need it now? How come I saw a lot of new faces at the plastic surgery convention? All right, the second one is way better than the first.
Yeah.
Right? Can you go for a 10? I can't.
No, that's maybe a 7.8. I'll say 7.8. Yeah.
Not bad.
Actually, that's kind of neat. I like that.
Not bad. All right, tomorrow night, we going to be surprised by anything, or are we just going to go out to the Browns camp and just turn around and say, okay, that was fraught with nothing?
I would not be surprised. I don't think it's going to happen, but I would not be surprised if we're saying, well, now what do we write? And then, boom, 28, 29, somewhere in there, late at night, they make a move.
Do the Browns, have they sent any former Brown to Nashville to make the picks, even if there is no pick?
I think Christian Kirksey is going to make the second-round pick, announce that for the Browns. Really? He's going to announce one of them, and then Kevin Mack and Eric Metcalf are going to announce picks too.
Nice. Now, I'll tell you what, the Browns now under Jimmy Haslam, I don't think he got it, quote, got it, before. I think he gets it now, or somebody gets it, getting guys like Mack and Metcalf and guys like that.
Yes.
I think that was an important part of the Browns' history, and I think he stayed away from it a while, although I have no idea what Jim Brown is doing with his team. Do you have any idea?
No, I mean, but he's 80. I mean, he's 82.
Jim Brown.
Yeah, and he's Jim Brown. So I'm not sure. I haven't seen him around much at all.
I haven't either. So, but if Jim Brown wants to do something, I think
Jim Brown will do it.
that.
And I'll tell you what, Les, he is still a dynamic personality. You know that.
I'm still afraid of him.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm not positive I could outrun him. I probably couldn't.
He is the only guy I've ever called, well, because his name is Mr. Brown, but usually I would say, hey, Jim, no, this is Jim Brown. You don't mess with him.
Yeah,
not that you don't mess with him. He's got such a place in the history of the team that no matter the ups and downs, you still have to have that total respect for the guy.
You do. And when you say to him, he says, hey, how you doing, baby? That's what he always says.
Right. And he will answer every question.
Yeah, he will.
For the most part. So
right.
I just think that there's, it's not like he's Babe Ruth, although to me he's Babe Ruth in football.
Oh, yeah. And, yeah, he is. I hope the players know who Jim Brown is. Last year we were talking about Jarvis Landry did not know that the Browns moved to Baltimore. I hope he knows who Jim Brown is.
Don't you think every guy in Browns camp wearing an orange helmet knows who Jim Brown is?
I hope so.
Or knew before that he got to camp?
I hope they knew before.
Didn't have to be told.
Yeah, and especially if they're a running back, right? Yeah. I mean, right. I mean, you don't
want to say, who's that old guy over there?
Yeah. Right. I mean, I wasn't around.
Well, that's Les Levine.
I wasn't around when Mark Twain was writing, but I know it was pretty good. Or Shakespeare.
Well,
I
I've
know those
always
guys.
said that about Lincoln. I knew he wasn't president when I was around, but I sure knew he was one.
Right. And so I hope they do know who Jim Brown is.
Yeah. They should have a quiz. When you make the team, no, when you get drafted by a team, they should give you a book and then have you know, like Carlos Santana had to answer questions to become a citizen.
Yes.
To become a Cleveland Brown, you must know Jim Brown, and you must know that 8 out of 9 times he went over 1,000 yards.
Right.
And you must know 1964, and you must know all that stuff.
At least after you get drafted, you better. I mean,
and Paul Brown.
Yeah. I'm not sure if they know Paul Brown, but
I remember some Cincinnati Bengal complained. I'm going back 20 years. Complained that the Cleveland Browns stole their uniforms.
I'll believe that. Yeah.
All right. So, can you grade the draft before we have it?
You know, most people grade it like 30 seconds later.
Right, why not? Do it before.
Yeah, get ahead. I'll say I'm going to give them a B-. There you go.
I still subscribe to the John Dorsey theory that whatever he says is okay with me until he proves otherwise.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, because he hasn't had many.
I mean, what can you complain about right now?
He hasn't even fouled one off.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we'll see about Austin Corbett. Maybe he's fouled that one off. But
we'll know this year.
Yes, we'll know this year.
All right. Thanks to Jeff Schudel. Read him at News-Herald.com. We will see you tomorrow night. The D-Man, Dennis Maniloff, will join us. See you then. Of all the shows I've ever done, this was the most recent.